What is up with the squad? It's such favorite RT with Uncle Tendencies in the building. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. It's Poly Sports Tea Time. We got Lil in the building. Lil, good afternoon, Lil. Before we even get into it, how you doing?
Doing all right. Rocking my Simone Foundation jersey.
Let's go. Let's go. One time for the Simone Foundation. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to get my Instagram acting right. What's going on, y'all? Hit the like and the share. They both right there. Hit the like and the share. They are both right there. Five of y'all get in the chat. Share this thing out for us. And we're going to get into it. Welcome back to Poly Sports Tea Time, y'all. Powered by, of course, Let's Talk Sports, BY's Poly Sports Podcast. Y'all know the truth gets sipped over here. Systems get spilled at the crossroads of sports, politics, race, and culture. I'm excited about this conversation. Tonight's conversation is narrative control. Who tells the story, what happens, and when the storytellers finally look like us. So, listen, for too long, and we've been talking about this, Black women athletes, brown women athletes have had their brilliance twisted, confidence called arrogance, excellence treated like exception, power reduced to attitude, right, Lil? But the shift is here now. The scoreboard isn't the only battleground. So the real power is sitting behind these cameras, in these production rooms, and in the ownership suite. So enter Together, and I wasn't really familiar with Together. I was seeing clips here, there, like that. But it's an athlete-owned, women-led, co-founded by Olympic champion Simone Manuel, now joined by Angel Reese as an investor. So it's not just media, it's a movement. So you got women flipping the script, reclaiming images, producing stories at the source. This is us telling our stories. Here, y'all don't worry about me and this blurry camera. I'm gonna keep working on that. But we're gonna unpack how controlling the story means controlling the system. And this is about power. Who's got it? Who lost it? And how Black women athletes are taking it back. And this is important to me right now because I want people to really understand the diversification, Leo, that the Angel has made with her dollars, right? Mm-hmm. So she's got some ownership in sport teams. She's got her own brand. She's moving in fashion. It look like a little bit, and then quietly, she owns a media company. She got some ownership in the media company. So, and plus a podcast. So talk about being able to control your narrative, right? Especially at a time like this when you got the CBA fight going on. She's also in this negotiation or back and forth with Chicago. So I think this is important. And so for those of y'all who don't know, and those of y'all who do, y'all know who's already here with me. The political sharpshooter, the culture's pulse, the voice that cuts through noise every time, Political Lil. Why does this moment matter now? And why is it critical for the fight for Black women athletes? Let me know.
Well, you hit it perfectly because this isn't just a media shift. It's a movement and a reclamation. We're watching Black women athletes take back that lens that's been used to distort them for decades. And so what Together is doing is nothing short of revolutionary. It's a modern day warfare. And so when Simone Manuel, who's the original co-founder, of the platform, and Angel Reese stepped in as an investor, I see them joining the media game together. They're rewriting it, and they're proving that visibility with our ownership, that's what makes them vulnerable. So that's exactly why this matters to us as advocates, because every time a Black woman controls her story, she protects her legacy. So tonight, we're going to unpack how this athlete-owned media movement is reshaping sports storytelling and redefining who gets to speak and creating a blueprint for future generations of women's sports.
Excuse me, y'all. My allergies is acting up back here. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. Before Simone Manuel and this wave of athlete-owned storytelling, I think we need to know that America has always known the power of Black press. We don't talk about it a lot, but yeah, Ida B. Wells dropped Southern Horrors in 1892, and that wasn't just reporting, but counter-programming, facts against violence, journalism as survival. This kind of always been our thing. Then came the Chicago Defender. We had Ebony, we had Jet, Not these weren't just outlets. These was mirrors telling our stories when no one else would, shaping opinion, fueling movements, holding America accountable, but also keeping us informed. Because Lil, I grew up in a time where you could hear something, but unless you seen it in Ebony and Jet and heard it on the black radio, it didn't matter. Somebody call you and tell you something, you say cut the radio on. They call you, somebody passed away, and you cut the radio on, and if you hear 4 or 5 day songs in a row, they done probably passed. Yep, here go the tribute. They just playing their songs back to back to back, and then that Ebony and Jet, shows up with the story. I remember probably Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was probably the first one that I remember in my lifetime where it was like, until we see it in the Jet. I brought you in this world, I'll take you out, and all that. It was Marvin that I remember probably first for me. But power never stays in check. We know that, right? So in '96, Bill Clinton signed this Telecommunications Act, and it it sounded just like some technical thing, but it basically gutted black media. I mean, almost overnight, deregulation, saw all the giants, the white-owned giants swallow up radio, TV, print. Black-owned outlets disappeared, got absorbed. We didn't just lose newsrooms; it was narrative control. We lost that, and decades later, we're still reeling from that silence. So athletes misrepresented, movements distorted, voices muted. So, Lil, the question I got is, why is it critical right now that platforms like TOGETHR, built and owned by women athletes, rise up to reclaim the mic? And then how does, I guess, athlete-driven media become both revival and resistance in this digital era?
Well, that's the whole story right there, because what happened in 1996 wasn't just the death of black radio or independent news. It was the silencing of our people's megaphone. So when we lost black-owned media, we didn't just lose jobs, we lost jurisdiction over the truth. And that's what makes this new wave of athlete-owned media so powerful. Platforms like TOGETHR are doing what Ida B. Wells and Ebony once did. They're reclaiming narrative power, but through tools, digital tools and that global market reach they have. So when Simone co-founded this media company, and then Angel Reese later on invested in it, it's not to chase clicks. They building a new press, one where storytellers and the subject are the same person. So and that's revolutionary in itself, because it means no more waiting on mainstream media to get it right. These women are curating their own legacies in real time. So, when we talk about TOGETHR, it's not just, they got a brand. We're talking about a modern resurrection of black media philosophy, self-definition, ownership, and truth-telling as resistance. And that's the perfect setup for women who laid the first bricks in this modern movement, Simone Manuel, the blueprint herself.
I mean, shoot, in a lot of ways, she changed the color of the water.
That's a good one.
From sugar to Stanford dominance. 2018 Honda Cup Woman Athlete of the Year. By Rio 2016, she wasn't just breaking records, she was breaking history. This is the first black woman to win an individual Olympic gold in swimming. Now, we just had our Alabama holiday. If you know, you know. We do swim. So for it to be 2016, for us to get our first individual Olympic gold in swimming is wild to me. But that finish line wasn't just that victory, it was centuries of barriers washed away. You think about, sometimes you just take for granted being able to get in the pool, but the access to be able to train to be a real to compete at an Olympic level is very limited. It's very, very, very limited. So again, so she didn't stop just there. She took that win and then opened up doors for kids who never had a public pool in their neighborhood. So you got the Simone Manuel Foundation. She funds swim lessons, access programs for under-resourced youth. She has a TYR sport deal that came with an inclusion rider that said diversity required behind every campaign she touched. That's policy. That's building policy in, right? Then she co-founds TOGETHR, women athletes telling their own stories, unfiltered, unapologetic. She turned gold into purpose, visibility, and equity representation into legacy, right? like, so people like this right here, like One Eye Willie in here telling us about Angel being a trash interviewer and media she born. How do you know? Do you tune in? I don't know. So, Lil, you've seen this from the policy side and the people side. What's the real significance of Simone adding that inclusion rider into her sponsorship contracts? And then how does that shift the power dynamic for athletes, especially Black women in the corporate space?
That inclusion rider was really a game changer. And it means that Simone is using her leverage to make equity a condition of doing business with her. So instead of brands just writing checks, they now have to commit to diversity in their marketing teams, production crews, and partnerships. So it really flips the script. Athlete becomes a gatekeeper of inclusion. So for Black women, this is power in action. And it says you don't just get to use my image. You align with my values. So it moves us away from that token representation to structural accountability.
Okay, so you watched it. Okay, One Eye Willie, it wasn't for you. Change the channel. That's the beautiful thing. There's other stuff out here. But I mean, to me, it would be, I would appreciate it more if you was out here telling us about who you do like instead of ripping up somebody you don't like. You're probably not an Angel Reese fan anyway, and then the platform really wasn't for you. But you out here telling us about who she not. I mean, I didn't, and it was like nobody even asked. You just came in to let us know that. You can't make me feel better. No, you would have to be important to make me feel better. So I mean, like, just you coming in was just disingenuous to the conversation. You didn't come in to even participate in what we talking about. You just came in to tear somebody down. But that was enough. That's about as much time I'm gonna give you now. When you think about the Simone Manuel Foundation, Lil, she's using it to make swimming accessible and inclusive. What does that mean for representation and then generational impact in the sport that's, I mean, pretty much excluded us historically, right?
Yeah, it's about rewriting legacy. Simone isn't just breaking barriers in the pool; she's building a bridge for the next generation. So swimming has, deep racial roots of exclusion, from segregated pools to cultural stereotypes about Black bodies in the water. So her foundation is dismantling that by funding access, lessons, and visibility. So it's not just charity, it's reparations through opportunity. And so representation isn't just seeing her win, it's seeing more Black kids learning to swim, to compete, and to lead. And that's generational change in motion.
So before you wrap up the segment, I know you got a special connection here because you actually played college ball with Simone's aunt and know her father's side of the family. So tell us from your personal lens, I guess what do you see in Simone's spirit that reflects that family legacy and how it shaped the woman that we get a chance to see today?
Listen, very close-knit family, very driven. Her aunt, Antoinette, and hello, Antoinette, if you on the line. Antoinette Gay, we played at Dillard University. Her aunt was a phenomenal athlete. She was like a combination of Kelsey Mitchell on offense and Angel Reese on defense. I mean, she had the best hand-eye coordinating I've ever seen in an athlete. But beyond the basketball court, when I first got to New Orleans, Tony introduced me to her family. We were able to, develop a relationship. I know all Tony's brothers, sisters, aunt, and Simone's dad. I remember him from a little boy. So have very, know her grandmother well. Her grandmother's a educator, a principal, just a great family. So she comes from a very tight knit family, and just sweet people. Her great grandmother. Oh man, I used to just love her to death. I mean, they treated me well. They made me feel at home. So I never really missed Chicago, because it was like, I had a bunch of instant cousins, friends, everything down there. So she was a really good to us. And so I know that she comes from a type of foundation where, once they set their mind on accomplishing something, she has a support of her family to do just that. Because I imagine what she has gone through was, pretty difficult. Being that lone swimmer, but she developed. They had a type of mental toughness, as athletes in that family. So I was happy, not surprised, not shocked. When I got that call about her going to the Olympics in 2016. So
exactly.
Never let
Willie. No, Willie. The topic wasn't about whether Angel was a good interviewer. It's about how she's shifting culture and empowering herself. And the fact that you're in every Angel topic that you can find to talk about her, as they telling me in the chat, let me know how much she on your mind. But unless somebody else want to talk to One Eye Willie, like at One Eye Willie, because at this point I'm gonna just let them get their keystrokes off, because they ain't hit my cash app for the babysitting they want me to do. So back to the topic at hand. If Simone laid that blueprint, then Angel Reese is the remix. Bold, unfiltered, living proof of what happens when confidence totally meets control. Baltimore born, Baltimore raised. I think she had this fire in her DNA forever. I didn't realize, like today, I found out. I didn't realize that Caitlin lost the AAU championship to Angel. Yeah. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that game took place too. Like she been beating you on a lot of levels. I didn't realize it was that. But LSU, she wasn't just hooping; she was building a brand. Like even before this right here, I think if you go back, Angel's NIL was up there. She was one of the highest ranking NIL names in the game, I believe. National champion, then she Final Four MVP, NIL powerhouse. Every headline became a hustle. What sets her apart? Flip criticism in the capital every chance she gets. She's called too emotional, too flashy. She turned that into endorsement deals, leveled up, and then invested in together. That's not just career strategy. That's generational power. So she doesn't stop at the court. Look at the Reebok collabs, funded anti-cyber and bully work, the AI hate train campaign, taking on online harassment. She's redefining athlete activism right in front of our eyes, right, and leveraging the digital era to do it. Beauty, business, backbone. Bringing all that to a platform built by women for women. She didn't pull up to the table. She showed up and just had her chair, brought her own mic, had her own money. That's what I like about it. Let's break it down, Lil. What does it mean politically and culturally for Angel Reese to invest in a media company like Together instead of just being covered by one?
That move right there. That's revolutionary. Angel, she's not waiting to be written about. And Lord knows she's been written about enough, but she's behind a seat at a table where the stories are being made. So it's ownership, it's not optics. And politically, it's a declaration that athletes, especially Black women, can control their own narratives instead of being filtered through a biased media. So culturally, it shifts the model from exploitation to empowerment. Together represents women reclaiming the mic. And Angel's investment says that the new power structure in women's sports will be athlete-owned, storytelling, and profit sharing, not just participation. Because it's far more people that are, feeding their face off Angel as opposed to, promoting her, without having a biased lens.
Exactly. I mean, listen, they call this girl too confident more times than I can count, but it's the confidence that they keep cashing in on. How does her unapologetic presence challenge the double standards that still define how women athletes, Black women athletes, are portrayed in media?
You know what? Angel's confidence exposes that hypocrisy. When a white athlete shows swagger, oh, it's competitive. A black woman, we know when she do it, it's always attitude. It even applies to Black men. But Angel flips that double standard by refusing to shrink, and her authenticity sells because it's real. But it also forces media and brands to confront their own biases. So she's kind of redefining marketability on her own terms. So instead of conforming to, the respectability of politics toned down, she's showing that bold, Black, and confidence is a brand. And see, that's a cultural disruption in real time.
So let's talk the actual power behind the platform together, because it's not just a company, it's a cultural weapon, especially in 2025 in the CBA fight, because it can be leveraged and used utilized in so many different ways to help get the word out and build awareness around the actual issues, right, that they're looking at in the CBA. But in 2021 you had 4 female athletes: Simone Manuel, Sue Bird, Alex Morgan, Chloe Kim said, media's not telling our story, we're gonna build our own mic. And that's what they did with Together. And it was born from frustration, and it became a space where women athletes are able to show the whole version of themselves: competitors, creators, businesswomen, human beings, the wins, the losses, the try agains, every dot, every campaign, every story it's coming straight from an athlete's lens, which makes it really cool. It's not filtered through a traditional sports medium. And then with Angel stepping in as an investor, the platform levels up. She brings youth, culture, fan base. Simone brings the depth, structure, strategy, and they're proving that it's not just a brand. This is another blueprint, like Unrivaled, with women owning equity, running media, and shifting culture on their own terms. How does Together's athlete-led model disrupt that traditional power structure of sports media that's been, I guess, dominated by corporations and male gatekeepers for decades?
Yeah. Together flips the entire media hierarchy. Instead of athletes being the subject of stories, they become the authors of it. And so that's a direct challenge to the system that's long used women's visibility, but denied them any kind of creative control. So by building a platform owned and operated by women athletes, Together is removing the corporate filter. And so it centers authentic storytelling. And, it's a redistribution of really a media power, from the gatekeeper to game changers. So it's not just inclusive, it's really institutional disruption. And I believe that there'll be more women-owned media companies, even that support athletes, on the horizon as well.
Okay. Yeah, and y'all let me know too. I got a question for the chat, because I was gonna ask you: do you think that the Together as a model could really inspire smaller athlete-owned collectives among Black women athletes? Could you see even more of these popping up? Do you see people joining together? What's the best way to leverage that? And then I got a question to the chat.
You know what? It's a blueprint. Together proves that ownership and influence can coexist. And we got a lot of influential women, in these media spaces, especially the social media space at this time. So it can open the door to create platforms that reflect our realities, not stereotypes. We've seen the power of collaboration. Now imagine collectives of Black women athletes, artists, and creators forming their own production hubs, streaming channels, or NIL networks. That's the next wave. And not waiting on
or a conglomerate of it all, because they all have different areas of expertise outside of just basketball, right? And then and you talk about how talented their family is. I think I believe her brother got signed to a deal to the Toronto Raptors on the contract. So two pro athletes in your family. Congratulations.
And her cousin still playing for New Orleans.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. So a family that's been around pro sports for a while. It is an interesting business. It's definitely an interesting business. But let's talk media power and the fight against erasure, because that at the core is the politics of visibility. It's always about who's seen, who's silenced, who gets crowned the face. So in women's sports, the bias has always been loud and deliberate. The media picks its darlings. We know that. So you got one athlete glorified, another villainized, and it's usually always along racial lines. We've seen it play out. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, one lifted as a savior, the other cast as a problem. Simone Manuel's Olympic gold got half the shine of her white peers. Same excellence, different headline. It's always quieter. It's always, back page kind of stuff. It's always, if you did, in case you didn't know. in case you missed it kind of announcements. It's never, you know, front page news, but you get platforms like Together, and they can flip the script, right? Selective visibility is political. The system rewards spectacle, not substance. So quiet excellence doesn't trend. And that's crazy. Because excellence, period, should trend. So, but quiet excellence doesn't trend. So Together, I think, turns that silence into spotlight and hands the mic back to the athletes, and then let the truth stand unfiltered. And I love that. Not only do we get to actually be a part of you know, the actual sporting event, but you get the players and the athletes' actual commentary on kind of what's going on from them. Because I think we got to remember that visibility isn't vanity. Visibility is survival, right? And so we want that truth to stand unfiltered. And that's what I like most about sports, is that it's not scripted. It's not supposed to be scripted. You said the media is not letting up with CC. You know, they didn't have a choice. They didn't have a choice this year because she wasn't playing. So it'll be interesting to see how that news cycle kicks back up, if it does, and how it does with the Indiana Fever were able to do with her on the bench. So it'll be interesting to see how that news cycle kicks back up with Paige kind of doing what she's doing, and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting time around her. And then did I hear something about the Asia extend her Nike deal? Did Asia extend her Nike deal? Somebody let me know in the chat if that's accurate. Wow. Did Asia extended 6 years or something? But Leo, help us dig into why is visibility so political, especially for Black women in sports, and how does who gets seen and how they're portrayed tie directly into power and perception, if you don't mind?
Yeah, you know, visibility is political because it shapes public truth. Who gets seen, you know, that defines whose story matters. You know, for Black women, that's always been a fight, not just for camera time, but for context. You know, when the media decides what images of us to circulate, you know, whether it's powerful or problematic, graceful or aggressive, you know, it's setting a social tone for how we're treated on and off the court. So visibility controls, you know, sponsorship, opportunities, even your safety. So when Black women demand equal representation, they're just not chasing fame. You know, they're trying to reclaim the power over narratives, identity, and worth. And we've seen that so prevalent in the rookie year of Angel, Reese, and Caitlin Clark, how so many other women, you know, winded up stepping into a space where their safety was questioned, you know, people following them, you know, all this kind of carrying on. So these things are important because the media shapes how the public views you, sees you, likes you, or dislikes you. You know, and in a lot of cases with Black women, it just hasn't been, you know, fair because of the bias and stereotypes that they try to make the public believe about you.
So when Black women start producing and owning their own media, like through Together, how does that change the cultural balance of power we've been talking about today?
You know what? It changes everything because ownership is the only antidote for distortion. You know, when Black women produce their own media, then they decide what excellence looks like, what struggle looks like, and what joy looks like. And it's because it's through their own lens. So that control shift, that's cultural capital there. You know, we move from being interpreted to being the interpreters. So Together shows that storytelling isn't just influence, it's infrastructure. And so the more we own, the less permission we need. And that's the real liberation when representation meets ownership.
Fam, I want y'all to get into this conversation too. When you see how much media pushes certain athletes to the front while others are ignored, what does that say to you about control and whose stories are considered marketable? So we talked about visibility and voice. Now let's talk. It's time for the real engine of the change, the ownership and the economics, because that's where the power lives, right, Lil? So women athletes get treated like labor. Faces on the poster, never shareholders in the business, and that's the old playbook. This new one is the ownership. It's Angel Reese buying into together. It's not just symbolism, that's strategy. Simone Manuel putting inclusion riders in her contract. That's not charity, that's structural change. But both of them show the truth. Freedom in this industry doesn't come from applause. It comes from equity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the new generation gets it in a way that no generation before them got it. They're not just chasing this clout. They're building companies. They're signing smart contracts. They're creating blueprints. Because influence without the infrastructure is fragile. You know what I mean? It can be taken away. It can fall apart. But you could trend today, be gone tomorrow. When you own the platform, you own the pipeline, and then you build permanent. So that's the new playbook. It's the empowerment, the equity, and generational wealth in women's sports. To the point that, I mean, my goodness, I just saw that what's the young lady's name? Monet. I can't think of her last name. Is it Monet Samuels, something like that? The baseball player, the young lady that pitched in the World Series.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Okay, so now you know that they have a women's professional baseball league. Monet is back in baseball. She's 24 years old now. And she said this is important for her because softball is different from baseball, and she's never had an opportunity to play baseball with all women. So I'm interested. I saw that drop today that she's gonna be doing. They have a women's professional baseball league that's gonna be coming up here soon. So women's sports just in general, and everything like soccer, baseball, basketball, swimming, track and field. You know, everything is just going. You know, it's just really a hot ticket item right now, and it's important that we lock in on ownership and how we build the generational wealth and how we strategize and build the structural change in now. So how does athlete ownership, like what Simone and Angel are doing, shift the economics of women's sports and force corporate media to take these women seriously, not only just as athletes, but as business leaders and culture shifters?
Yeah, look, athlete ownership, that changes the whole map. And it changes the mindset too. When women like Simone and Angel invest, produce, and co-own, they redefine value beyond performance. And so it's no longer pay me to play, it's partner with me to build. And so that forces corporation and media networks to negotiate, not dictate. And so it also challenges old power dynamics that have kept women, especially Black women, at the mercy of brand approval. Ownership means equity, decision making, and long-term revenue. And so it's not just economic empowerment, you know, it's economic authority. You know, that's what owning means. I get to say.
Right. What lessons can the next generation of athletes take from this model when it comes to building the wealth, the legacy, and leverage through their brands?
Look, the lesson is real clear. Own your name before they profit from it. You know, and I tell anybody, I don't care how young an athlete you are, even if you in grammar school, you haven't made it to high school yet, you know, start encouraging your child to understand the value in their name. There's power in your name. So Simone and Angel, they showing young athletes that your brand is a business. It's not a bonus. You know, you can build a team, learn the contracts, and treat visibility like currency. So wealth isn't just money. It's ownership, influence, and legacy, especially in this capitalistic system. You know, they teaching the next generation to stop renting their image, stop renting your name, renting your image, you know, and start building your own empire. And so that shows you can move from endorsements to enterprise and from icon to becoming an institution. And that's what I see these young ladies on their way to, becoming institutions beyond being icons.
I mean, listen, and sometimes it look like a sacrifice when you're thinking about that long-term wealth, Lil. You think about what it took for Jason Weaver family to be like, you know what, hey, Disney, we're gonna pass on that $2 million flat y'all trying to give us for him being little Simba. And we're gonna just take 100,000, and then we want the ongoing revenue. We want the residual income, the long-term royalties. I mean, he's made $2 million probably I don't know if it's 100 times over, but bro, I mean, Jason Weaver, he made enough money where at 13 years old, he did Lion King. He made 100 bands. They didn't re-release Lion King twice, I think. Well, no, they made a new one, and then they had Lion King 1.5, 2. All these Lion Kings, bro, just he want to work. He act when he want to act. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's that long term thinking. That's that generational wealth. That's that I'm gonna take a little bit less now for more on the back end. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't, as a culture, I don't think that we walk into business decisions or business situations with that mentality a lot. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's always get the bag up front, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's better in the situation. You know what I'm saying, to have that foresight. You know what I mean, to think long term. To say like 100,000 right now, we gonna make that work. We invest a little bit here, a little bit there, and then what they say. That's my money, and I want it now. We can call somebody if you need a couple bucks off of it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hold on. I'll see. This is. It seemed like it's turning into like a trolling situation. Let me fix that for y'all. My bad. Let me go ahead and get them up out here. All right, there we go. Okay. Somebody else. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. You think about that Nike deal.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, he ain't gonna wear everybody else's shoes. He gonna wear that shoe, and they gonna wear it because he wore it. So we gotta start baking that into how we do business and how we look at business deals. And it's not always best to take all the money up front. But let's get into this next cup of tea, because this is a heavy one. This what we watching. This isn't just representation. This is a revolution that's taking place. Media is the new front line in the civil rights fight, and I don't know if people realize that. Our ancestors marched with signs and newspapers. Today, the battle was fought with mics, cameras, and digital platforms. When Simone Manuel builds access through her foundation, that's liberation work. When Angel Reese flips bias into ownership, that's liberation work too, right? So media in their hands, they ain't just storytelling, it's self-determination. They're rewriting freedom papers and pixels and production deals. This is the evolution of the black press, from Ida B. Wells with her printing press to Simone Angel with their platforms, and the other platforms that are out there too. Flage got a platform. It's all these platforms out there now. But the mission hasn't changed. Control the image, control the impact, control the future. And that's why this moment matters. Together, and this athlete-led media, this ain't just content. And this is why I be talking about how you spend your social media currency is important. This ain't just some content out here. They're the modern civil rights movement, streaming live and unapologetic. Live and unapologetic. I want you to speak to this, Lil. How does athlete-owned media like Together represent a modern day civil rights tool? Like, not just for visibility, but for the liberation and the protection of our truth and our stories.
Well, listen, athlete-owned media is the new front line of civil rights. And in a world where image equals influence, control over our narratives, that becomes a form of protection. So Together isn't just a media company, it's a shield and a microphone. So it safeguards our truth from distortion, and it gives athletes the power to define their humanity beyond these headlines. So liberation today means not having to ask for fair coverage. It's creating a platform where fairness is the foundation of what you out here doing, because that's what you out here producing. So that's how you turn around storytelling and make it a strategy, and then the media that you producing into a movement.
What parallels do you see between digital era athlete activism and the traditional black press movement that fought for justice and through print a century ago?
The parallels are really powerful. See, the black press gave us a voice when mainstream media had erased us. And so athlete-owned platforms, that's what they're doing today. A century ago, the black press documented truth. They challenged injustices, and they built community through ink and paper. So now athletes like Simone and Angel are doing it through cameras and clicks. And both movements are about self-determination, telling our own stories on our own terms. So the tool might have changed, but the mission didn't. and that's control the narrative, protecting the people, and pushing the culture forward.
And I'm glad that our stories is getting uploaded to the cloud this time. Because so many of our stories and so much of our history, is laid in graveyards or washed away in. I think a lot about how much of our history was just lost in Katrina, like down south, New Orleans, all of that history, just artifacts, things washed away, destroyed, never to be seen again. If they had been in the cloud, if they had been someplace else where they were readily accessible to be shared. So that's why it's important. David Shands, a podcaster, talks about, this is the era where turn your mic on. People want to hear people's stories. Get your stories documented. Even if you don't, the smallest stories, document them, share them. For as much as you want to. I ain't saying like you ain't gotta be in real life 24/7. But I'm just saying, for those stories that are important to you, that that move you, make sure you document them. Document the growth. Document the wins, the losses, right? The losses too, so you can see, why did we lose? How can we learn from that benchmark? You know what I mean? Go back. But I think that as we see more and more athletes kind of cut their mics on, and I think that's where we're headed. I think this CBA fight is going to see a lot of different platforms open up, and we're going to get a chance to hear a lot more of the details of stuff that we just didn't know. I never thought it was going like that. But to the fam, do you see social media and athlete-owned platforms as today's version of the black press, or has the digital age made it harder to tell truth without distortion? Because some of this AI shit look real out here. Like, you gotta double check. Like, you gotta have a secret code word with your family to make sure that's them for real. Like, hey, blink twice, not 3 times, spin around. You know what I'm saying? What did you used to call me when I was 2? This AI is serious out here. It's looking real, realer and realer. I'm over the computers. As much as I love a computer, I'm over AI. I get mad when Hulu asks me if I'm still watching. Did I turn it off? That pissed me off every time. Who that pissed me off? Nothing pissed me off more than for me to be doing something and look up at the TV talking about, is you still there? Did I cut it off? Man, if you don't let my show roll, we just trying to make sure you don't get, man, I want to go back. If I binge watch and go to sleep and wake back up, that's because that's what I wanted to do. Don't cut it off for me. You still there? It's like you watching me. Like, what you mean am I still there? Because you ain't moved. How you know I ain't moved? It's too much. It's too damn much for me. Fam, too. If you think about it, what story, movement, or moment right now feels like a part of a new civil rights chapter in sports? I was thinking about that. And I would have to say it's Asia's story for me right now. It's Asia's story for me right now that feels like a movement and a moment, because she's been nothing but excellent, and she's fighting to have that acknowledged. It seems like everywhere except South Carolina. It's like nobody recognizes the greatness of this woman except South Carolina. Every time I look up, South Carolina is doing something that she's worthy of that nobody else is doing. And I mean, she showed out at the parade too. I mean, the Infinity Stone glove showed out. I love that. But you look at retired jersey, you look at statue in front of the CLA. You look at as of in 2 days, I think it is, she'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame in South Carolina. All of these accomplishments, all of this excellence, not enough print about it. Not enough people know about it. Like I said, you got this it's at the bottom. It's like the fine print on the contract. Like, yeah, Asia is that. I don't understand how much more she has to do to be able to show that. So for me, it's Asia. I don't know, Lil, if there's a story or a movement right now for you that you think feels like a part of the civil rights chapter, let us know.
The Shador story. How the NFL is lynching him publicly, pulling him out, whipping him for being confident and simply believing in himself. The amount of lies that they have spread about this young man and trying to, distort who he is as a person. And you know, and given the fact that you know, he has a legacy. His father played in the NFL and made people a lot of money. You know, brought a different value. You know, brought that street swag, you know, into the game and this, that, and the other. And for you to be punishing his son over trying to keep a balance of black and white quarterbacks, I mean, it's just absolutely, you know, a torturing type of spirit that the NFL has towards this young man. And that you know, I listen to I kind of keep up with him as much as I possibly can through another female who has a platform, and the whole platform is about this particular story and how to, you know, the NFL is acting in a way that's very discriminatory, you know, and it's kind of disheartening. So that would be the person that, you know, as soon as I see civil rights, he jumps in my mind.
Lil, it's grown-ups talking about that right there hurt their feelings. That hurt their feelings. That's offensive.
Showing what time it is and your father was.
Do you know how many? Do you know how many other celebrations we've seen? This right here got grown-ups feelings hurt. Man, if y'all don't stop, leave that man alone. It ain't about that. We know what it is. This is about. Here's the thing. Y'all trying to get back at a man who he got his gold jacket already. Dion and lived his life, man. His money is in the bank. I'm sure it hurts him to see his sons treated like this for as much as he gave to this league, for as much as he loved this league, for as much as, and you know, people will say, he was disrespectful the way that he celebrated, and they call it antics. So it was all branding. It's everything that they're doing now. It was just before they were before their time. Prime before his time. Hammer before his time. But both men, like Hammer went broke trying to take care of the hood too. But all before their time with branding, eyes that you know, shit, but still that would still win right now. Yeah. So I mean, like Prime had an alter ego that people acknowledge. The deals that Hammer was able to get as a rapper, man, if these rappers could get them now, they would unalive people for them. A Taco Bell deal. I think it was a Hammer doll. He had a cartoon. He had Pepsi. Right? I don't know why they hate Prime. Same reason they hate Dawn, because they unapologetically themselves. They reach back. They teach. They pull people forward. They make you listen. No matter what you can say, no matter what you try to say about them, people know who they are. Yeah, you know, it's Al 504. It don't make no sense to me. Especially not all the good that they try to do. You know, they hate people that's out here doing good. These people out here ain't trying to help us all. Meanwhile, Don out here trying to be a professional dream merchant, and Prime is just trying to get people through school, give people opportunities. I mean, dude won't even take a day off work. He coming to work after surgery. I mean, I don't know what else you want for work ethic. I don't know what else you want for dedicated. I don't know what else you want for locked in. I don't know what else you want for role model. Like, bro got a surgery and it came to work. Like, I got work to do. The shots and the strays that him and Big Drip catch is crazy. I looked up, it looked like, I think I seen something where Don is still trying to help Temple raise some money. I'm like, hey, no, hold on, Don. I don't even think Temple cutting checks no more. But here you are, because you know it's bigger than you. It's about the growth of the game. It's about the women and the young and the young ladies coming behind you. What doors did you leave open? The racism in this world is too much. And it's crazy because it don't even have to be there. I pray for all these young people. But let's get into this last cup, because the NBA is starting up tonight, and you know, people, I know everybody got things to do in tennis. The opponents of Coco Golf and Taylor Townsend tried to to disrespect them, but they handled it with so much class. Yeah, that I got it. We did it. We
Wow.
got into Coco Golf. We got into Coco Golf. Leo, I think I want to know more about Taylor Townsend. Taylor Townsend is something else. I think we might need to do a deep dive on Taylor. See what Taylor got going on. She is unapologetically herself. She's another one I like. Woo wee. Yeah, I like Taylor, but this wasn't about media. It was about movement. Simone Manuel laid a blueprint. Angel Reese brought the disruption together, became a platform and athletes reclaiming the mic. The lesson is clear. Storytelling is the strategy, right? When Black women own the narrative, they shift culture, challenge systems, build futures. The tea time takeaway today is representation was the first step. Ownership is the revolution. Media ain't just entertainment, y'all. It's power. Every platform that centers truth isn't just changed to watch, it's changed to join. Every click, every comment, every share, all part of this modern freedom movement, led by the queens of the court and the pool. Y'all gotta pay attention.
Yeah, look, family. If tonight moved you, don't just listen in, join in. Visit www.RespectHerGame.Online and become part of the advocacy network that pushes equity, visibility, and fair coverage for these Black women in sports. And that's where the work has to continue through petitions, campaigns, and content, amplifying athletes who deserve to be seen in their full power. And so when you support, you're helping to rewrite the narrative. And you're standing beside athletes like Simone Manuel and Angel Reese, who are out here building legacies and liberating media at the same time. So log on, sign in, and stay plugged in, because the movement doesn't stop when the mic goes off.
Yep. And before we close, I got an assignment for y'all. We got an assignment for y'all, like we always do. Share this convo, tag your people, flood timelines with hashtag RespectHerGame. Y'all, challenge these false narratives wherever they pop up. Gotta push back on these false narratives wherever they pop up, on your timelines, in your lunch lines, at your house, wherever they pop up, push back on them. That's the only way we get rid of the bullshit, and we get rid of the false narratives. I thought I shared it on Threads. I will though, Al. I thought it shares on Threads, but I will make sure that I do that. But next time we're gonna spill the tea on this new threat, the WNBA, the Upshot League. The Upshot gonna launch May 2026, right smack dab in the middle of the CBA battle. Will it be a season? Will it won't be? We don't know, but Upshot gonna be going. They got 4 teams. We're gonna talk about them. Remember, y'all, sports, they not just games. They're the stories we tell, lies we expose, systems we dismantle. Y'all keep your voices loud. Keep timelines active. Defend our queens. Hardwood to the pool. Cess, your favorite anti knuckle tendencies, alongside political Lil man. Thank you, y'all, for sipping this truth with us on Poly Sports Tea Time. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. And man, we out.